For this video, we're going to do a demo on how to build a React wrapper around the echart library. And the reason for doing that is we want to be able to customize superset components. And the easiest integration point is the place where we combine data with graphics, and that's at the React wrapper level. Echart has a website for examples. There's a GitHub where you can download the code for it. And all of these graphs in echarts are distinguished by a configuration object or called option. In TypeScript, this is called echarts option. Echarts option, which is denoted. Let's get to the browser, which is denoted here, echarts option. Echarts option is not really used by superset. And so it's difficult to understand the simplicity of the echart interface, meaning that I can, with one line of code, which is here, describe the echart interface. And the customization comes about in the difference between these option objects or these option configuration. Now in JavaScript, it's just it's just a plain JSON object. In TypeScript, it's called echarts option. And so what we're going to do is just go through a programming exercise where we take this guy's code. He wrote a blog post on how to use echarts with React and TypeScript. And this is the only example I've found on the internet that uses this interface and creates a React wrapper out of it. And so the advantage of this is that we can follow this approach, rewrite the plugins using this kind of approach, and that gives us the ability to customize the React code, the superset plugins a lot easier by using this kind of strategy versus we still have to understand the plugin architecture of how those 5 files work, build query. There's like 5, how they auto-generate those files, transform. We still have to understand that, but it's a lot easier to be able to understand where the separation point is and to be able to do the modifications there. That gives us some tools to do proof of concepts, which is a lot faster than being able to understand all those superset internals, making those modifications and then trying to pass this unit and integration tests. That takes a lot longer. And so we're going to try that to make this process a little quicker. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a create React app template in TypeScript, which we have already created. And I'm just going to cut and paste this code, and we're going to get that working in echart. So we're going to try to replicate these charts. And so what we should be able to do is cut and paste that code, make it just debug some of the little things, and then we should be able to get these charts running just by copying this option object and formatting that into a echarts option. And so it's best just for me to show you instead of me talking about it because it doesn't really make sense and it's hard to explain in words unless you see it. And you're going to learn a lot more by doing. Okay, so let's copy this into a TypeScript project, which we've already created. And that's called video 1. Here's video 1. So let's create a directory for the component. Then let's create the file. And let's paste that in there. Okay, so let's also install echarts. What else do we need? Let's make sure it's there. Echarts, where are you? Okay, you're there. Okay, so previously we were using Echart 4.2.1. We migrated to 5.5. Okay, so let's see what's wrong here and let's get this working. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this component, which the blog post sort of explains. We're going to get this working, and then we're going to feed it options, and we're going to feed it different types of eChart options, and then we're going to see graphs work, and that'll give us a little bit more practice and skills with how to make and grow our chart API library. Okay. So let's get to work. Okay, possibly undefined. So let's fix that with question marks. So I don't know what version he used when he was debugging this, but this is close enough. Okay, so now let's save. Now let's import this into app. What's that called? React Echarts. Ah. Ah. Okay, so now we're okay. So we need an option object. Let's get an option object. Let's copy that over. So what was it called? It was called option. Didn't copy. Excuse me. Option is of type React. I forgot. React props. Need this here. And what was it called? It was called option. Okay. So line option, excuse me, is of type echarts option, denoted by the interface or type React echarts props, and with the option field or property. I'm sorry, option property. Bad English. Okay, so is that it? That's all we need? Okay, let's see if that runs. Okay, that runs. So we're going to do, let's try a couple other things. So let's try just replicating this. Let's create the next graph, which is smooth line. So let's get smooth line. Const smooth option. Shit, I already did my paste. Smooth. Props. Should have done this. Making more work for myself. Option equals. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's not clear today. Okay. So we should see. Where's our graphs? We should see it update. Oh, okay, so we don't have enough height. Let's change the height. Let's do a couple things. Let's change the height. 100 pixels, that's not enough. 400, let's do pixels. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit more like it. What else? Let's change CSS. How do we get those? These are block elements. So default row. Okay. Alrighty. So now we've got two. Let's do a couple more. Well, let's do something else. Let's do a theme. Let's do a button and a theme. How long is my video? Okay, we're gonna switch themes with this button. Here, let's make theme dark just to see if it works. So we should have a dark one and a light one. So we're gonna try to put a button. Oh, this is the button. Back to CSS. This is not a class. It's gonna select the element, and then let's see, display margin auto to split the left and right margins. Oh, it's over here. We want it below. Oh. Should we create some more? Yeah, let's do that. Let's create two more. Button. Course. JS6. I'm sorry. Okay, so now button centered. Okay, I'm gonna end the video, and what the solution is that the meetup. Let's go here. It's at this repo here, so let me find where the link is for this repo. It should be here. And here's the link. So these are a collection of graphs, and I didn't put them all in. I think I took the screenshot later, but you can play with it. And the idea is that that's one way to learn how to customize the echarts API. It takes a while, where you can move labels around, you can move legends around, you can move axis around. You can put like a min-max on the axis. And I use the Discord bot or the GitHub issues, like people are asking for features. And so it's good to practice off of those. And I don't know if I'll try to make some videos out of those. But the next step is, so one thing I want to do is I'll follow up with some videos. I want to dumb this down to JavaScript. And there are some things that we want to cover. We want to cover something called the difference between a controlled component and an uncontrolled component. And so a controlled component will have state. And so as I click my button to turn theme between light and dark, or to turn it on and off, I'll put a use state in here to capture that state. So at that point, when I use use state, it'll be called, that's the definition of a controlled component. The advantage of a controlled component is that React knows when to re-render a component when the state changes. An uncontrolled component doesn't use any of the hooks. It just has theme stored in the DOM. Now, the advantage of that is you don't have to have the hooks, but the problem is React won't re-render when you change that. And so sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't want that. And so I spent 3 hours trying to get an uncontrolled component working between parent and child and still having it re-rendered. It was just almost impossible to do, so I gave up. So we're going to do a video on the difference between a controlled component and an uncontrolled component. And also, there's a strategy for using custom hooks that we should cover also in controlled components. And the more the advanced programmers use custom hooks, and it's a way to hide use effect and use state at a lower level and to make the abstractions a little bit higher level. And so we saw, as we're playing with superset, we see the advantages of trying to layer complexity in the different abstraction layers, right? Like there's one layer of abstraction in Z render, and then another layer of abstraction in echarts, and then another layer of abstraction in the superset plugin level. And so when you get more practice with hooks, it seems like defining a custom hook makes it a little bit easier to be able to define these APIs. Okay, that's enough. This video is already too long. How do I end this? And show meeting, the UI changed.